Hi, welcome back to Alonehun Art. Today I'm showing you the first video process entry to my #HomeAlonehun series, wherein I draw mostly houses but also shops, theaters, and other buildings I've encountered in real life. So I'll talk a little about the process first. For reference, I take a lot of screenshots from Google Street View from different angles and, if available, from different dates to really understand the building's form even before I start drawing. Then I do a sketch on a scrap piece of paper with pencil so I can correct and erase my lines until I get the proportions and composition right. I then ink the sketch and trace it onto watercolor paper. I don't have a proper light box at the moment, so I use this clear plastic case I found in the house and shine a phone light underneath it, and that works fine for now. I use colored pencils to trace, and I don't do it lightly because I want the focus to be on the building, so the defined lines add some structure and detail. I find using a few different colors looks more interesting, and also using pencils as opposed to ink or fine liners gives the piece the softer look that I'm going for. To make painting details easier, since this is pretty small, I use some crayons I sharpened to a point to block out the highlights. As I was painting, I tried to use a limited palette that matches with the reference and the colored pencil lines. For this part, having my color mixing chart at the side really helped in deciding which colors have the range I need. For this piece, the colors I used were mostly just pyrrole orange, quinacridone magenta, and viridian. I used some ultramarine and more yellow for the background to differentiate it a bit from the foreground. The painting process itself is mostly straightforward, as you would see, so I'll take this opportunity to share some things about the building itself. How do I make this sound interesting? Back in elementary, there were these houses I used to pass by going to and back from school while on the school bus. I don't know when exactly, probably 3rd or 4th grade, but I had an awakening after I saw this one house. I thought, not all houses are built the same, and my life has not been the same ever since. The house was already abandoned and dilapidated even when I first saw it. It stood on wooden stilts and had wooden plank walls, bleached and weathered by the passing of time. It had a thatch roof that had a huge gaping hole through it, and most of its frosted window panels were broken and some even fallen completely off their frames. To cut the story short, it was falling apart. But to the me then, the kid me, it was beautiful and majestic. Even then, I was already fascinated by things that looked old and out of place, and something that could disappear at any moment. It was so different from the typical concrete houses I always see. It reminded me of fairy tales and a world that was beyond me and out of reach. In hindsight, and from what I know now, the house was probably not even that old, from the 1950s at the earliest, considering the part of the city it was in and the style of the surrounding houses. It is interesting to note and to think that 70 years, although really short in the entire history of the universe, can seem so long ago. Well, who am I kidding? With the whole pandemic thing, even 2019 sometimes feels like it was from another lifetime. Now I guess is the right time to mention that the house here is not the house I've been painting. Apart from my now hazy memory, I also feel like I'm not ready to draw it just yet. So what is this house that you've been looking at then? It's a house a few meters down the same street actually. When going to school, from where I would sit inside the L300, I would see the dilapidated house I talked about, and when going home, I would see the house here that I've been painting. Fortunately, when I looked it up, after it appeared in a dream randomly, it's still standing and well maintained. Back then, I'd really make a point to stare into these two houses plus some more houses when the school bus passed by just to make sure they're real and that I didn't imagine them. So that was basically what you would call the origin story of the Home Alonehun series, and my whole appreciation for buildings in general, which has influenced me to make some life decisions that might or might not have been unwise. In any case, seeing interesting buildings and making up stories about them inside my head is one of my biggest passions in life. How about you guys? Have you ever passed by a house that makes you wonder and makes you want to know more about it? I'm interested to know, so please comment anything related you want to share. And if you like this video, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. And do check out my previous illustrations for this series by looking up #HomeAloneHun on Instagram. That's all for now, and thank you for watching.